Can you hear me? Yeah. Well, good morning, everybody. Morning. Welcome to Frisco Connect. Thanks for being here. For those of you online, watching on YouTube Live, just want to apologize. We're running fashionably late, and thank you for your patience. My name is John Luce, and I'm privileged and humbled to be a part of the team here for Frisco Connect. And we welcome you online as well as in person again. We're going to go through, for those of you who've attended Frisco Connect before, we're going to go through a familiar format, but we do this because there's just a plethora of information out there, and we want to be sure everybody gets a chance to hear it or see it, because there's a lot of valuable resources. We want to be sure everybody has that information to help put together their strategy for their search for employment. And so let's see how fast I can foul this up. Before I get started, I want to give a big thanks to Stonebriar Community Church for hosting us for these past 12 plus years, and to Pastor Steve Fisher, who has graciously been our support here at Stonebriar. Steve is the pastor of Care Ministries, which is involved with going out to the local community beyond these walls and just ministering to the needs of others, and there's plenty of that going around, especially in the last couple of years. So Stonebriar is our sponsor, as I said, and we see our mission as glorifying God by encouraging people to pursue a lifelong joyous relationship with Jesus Christ. And put simply, we exist to love God and love others, and this Frisco Connect is part of that outreach. So our ministry is our objective is to go and be, to help the community as we are led, especially with this tumultuous employment thing that changes every few months in our current culture. So with that in mind, we're going to open up with a word of prayer. So if you wouldn't mind joining me, we'll go ahead and do that. So Heavenly Father, you tell us to be anxious for nothing, but in everything in prayer and supplication with thanksgiving to let our requests be known to you. And so we request that you use this get-together, both online and in person, to help people connect and build their networks, to build relationships, for that's very important to you, especially your relationship with us. And so we ask you to guide this meeting, help us to provide what's needed, even though we don't know specifically the needs of each person who is involved in this session. But we thank you for our production team and for all the volunteers and the people who are involved with helping others to get to their next best appointed employment. We put this time in your hands, and we thank you through your Son, Jesus, our Lord. Amen. So we're going to get started because today we're privileged to have Mike Ray and Pete Hernandez with us to give us an overview of a very good resource, a very powerful resource. And I want to get through this opening so that we allow them as much time as possible. We schedule this meeting to be from 9 to 11:30. We try not to go beyond that because we know that when you're sitting around for 2 hours, you know, adults get kind of antsy and we lose attention and everything. So let's get started. Is this thing on?
Yeah, we can hear you.
No, I'm talking about the transmitter in my... Thank you. Sorry about that, Jesse. I usually try to have it on. Our next meeting will be on July 5th here at Stoneborough Community Church. The slide has the address and everything for those that may be watching online. We're trying to encourage people to come here in person because building relationships face-to-face and in person is much more powerful. Watching online, we're grateful for that ability and that God has provided that technology, but it's just not the same. You can convey a lot of information online, but relationship building is best done person to person. So spread the word. If you're online or any of you who are here, spread the word. Let people know that we're here. We got hot coffee, water and some sodas, and a place to sit in the air conditioning when it's going to be 102 out there, and be in here and build some relationships. So let's try this again. There we go. If you're a first-time attendee, and online, people watching on YouTube, if you're a first-time attendee, we want you to know that we have an email group. We used to have it on, what you call? Yeah, it used to be on Yahoo Groups until they did away with the group thing. And so now we're on groups.io. It's a group email, and we invite you to join us on that. You don't get a lot of junk email in your inbox. You usually get notices of activities that are going on, notices of meetings, networking meetings, get-togethers for people who are gathering in specific areas of pursuit, and opportunities are posted on there too. A lot of times those opportunities are from people who came across them, or maybe they pursued them and it wasn't the right fit, and so they're passing it on, and it's not on the job boards. If something is on the major job boards or on a corporate website, we ask you not to share it via the email group, but things that you've come across in your network to make others aware of it. And therefore you're paying it forward and benefiting others who can get their eyes on it, and it may click with them and pursue. They're able to pursue it. So if you want to become a member of that group, first of all, if you're here live, when you checked in and got your name tag, they may have asked you if you're a first-timer and you want to sign a sheet that has your name and your email address. I'll be sending out an invitation to you to join that group. It's not mandatory, and once you're in the group, you can unsubscribe at any time. If you're online, it would be wonderful if you could give your email address to Bill Richardson by putting it in the comments. Bill Richardson has been a supporter of Frisco Connect since its inception, and he's managing the online live transmission of this. So he'll probably put a note in the comments asking you to do that, and we'll send you an invite to join the email group within the next 24 hours. Okay. We believe in prayer at Stonebriar. We don't believe prayer is magical. We believe it's mystical. We don't understand how it works, but we know it works. And so if you're in a bad place, if you're discouraged, if you're really at the end of your rope, if you've got things going on that are really dragging you down, if you'd like prayer support, we have a way to do that. We have a group here at Stonebriar who takes prayer requests, keeps them confidential, and prays over those requests diligently And you can send a prayer request to that email address on the slide. It's Frisco Connect and Prayer Team, Frisco Connect and Prayer Team, one word, at stonebriar.org. And they've got a secure email address right there that you can send it to, and we'll be happy to support you in prayer. Another thing we do to support people in the search for employment is we have a Friday morning meeting, online only, called Reach Up, Reach Out. We call it RURO for short, reaching one hand up to God and one hand out to each other. We're only meeting online. We used to meet in person here at the church, but we've had people from New York, Hawaii, Chicago join us in that meeting. And so to accommodate those people, we're keeping the meeting online for right now. And it's every Friday from 7 till 8:30, led by Steve Fisher and myself. And Steve does a short devotional. We call it an anchor. It's not a Bible study. It's not a sermon or anything. Yeah, it's simply an anchor to anchor us in the love and the promises of God. And then we go around and share what's going on in our search for employment or any other critical thing that's got us down and pinned to the ground. And we pray for each one in the meeting right there. And so for the links and dates for this Frisco Connect, as well as for Reach Up, Reach Out, you can go to stonebriar.org/here. I got the new slide up, Mike. Pete, got your picture up there. Okay. These two gentlemen are going to do our main presentation today, and it's great stuff. The resource that they're going to talk about is not intuitive, friendly. It's not really intuitive and friendly. It's a massive database. You got to work at it a little, but these guys are going to make it simpler for you, and they're going to talk about this. They're also going to let you know that this presentation is online. They're going to let you know how to reach it after the fact, as well as those who watch this on the YouTube channel, which is Stonebriar Events is the name of the channel on YouTube. People who aren't able to see this today can go back and replay it as well. All right, what else have we got? All right, I'm going to back up because that's my major introduction, and I'm trying to be as brief as possible, and time sure flies when you're having fun, I'll tell you. I want everybody to know that Frisco Connect has a page on LinkedIn, and it's called Frisco Connect. We also have a page that Bill Richardson finally got cleaned up because it was a little confusing for a while, but we also have a page on Facebook. And I'm going to talk to the production team in the future about not only streaming this meeting on YouTube, but also on Facebook. I think we can get that done to make it available to more people. So that's pretty much what I have. Did I forget anything, Foster? I did Reach Up, Reach Out. Okay. All right. All right. What else did I want? I wanted you to know that for those of you here in person, we are cell phone friendly, and we ask you to put your phones on vibrate so that the noise of the phones doesn't interrupt the information we're trying to convey to everybody. If you do get a call, and we pray it is the call, there's plenty. If you step outside any of these doors, there's plenty of room to have a semi-private conversation. And we're also Wi-Fi friendly. The channel that's available to you to use your Wi-Fi is SCC_public. Okay, and for those of you here live, just in case you haven't been in this meeting before, this building, the restrooms are out either of these doors. Turn to your left. There's restrooms down the hall just a few feet on either side of this room. Okay, and one other thing, we have a sheet on the tables for you here live. It's a two-sided sheet. It says Frisco Connect in red. One is to get feedback from you, and if you're watching us on YouTube, please give us feedback in the comments section, because we'll be able to access that. The sheets on the tables, you can give us comments, and on the other side are prayer requests. If you're here live and want prayer, you can write that out. Just put it on a table in the back. We'll pick those up and we'll get it to the prayer team for you. Okay, that's pretty much it. So I'm going to hand it over to the job father, as we lovingly refer to him, who without his activity, I don't think we would have been as successful. He's such a blessing and a wonderful resource, and he really cares about people and connecting people so they can get employed. So Foster Williams is going to take the stage, and we're going to go from there. Do you have a microphone, sir? Oh, okay. That's it. Come on up, Foster.
Jesse got me hooked up. Good morning, everybody. John does such a good job. I don't know what I'm going to tell you guys. It's going to be interesting.
Oh, plenty, plenty.
Thank you, John. I wouldn't exist, and Frisco Connect wouldn't exist if it wasn't for that technical guy there, John Luce. That's a joke. All you guys on YouTube, I am a recruiter. My name is Foster Williams. You guys call me the job father. I think that's the only nickname I've ever had that is, I think it's appropriate, but I'm not that old, y'all. I'm really not. And the whole idea of this entire network, and we're all across the United States, probably in 20, 25 different states now, thanks to COVID and Zoom. Our reach is tremendous. Actually, there are people sometimes that are in other countries that tune in and listen to us, find out what are some of the foundations of job search, which we're going to go over one of those today. We've got Mike Ray and we've got Pete Hernandez, who are leaders in the network, that are going to give us a product today that we really need to be cognizant of, guys, because we recruiters like it when we have a candidate to present, and that's you guys, that has similar background. You know how people are? We usually put health care in that position of, well, you've never been in healthcare before, so you know, we're going to go with a candidate that's been in healthcare before. You know how we put ourselves in these silos. We're so smart in the United States now. Oh, my God. So, guys, you're going to be able to find companies like, well, I'm going to use my friend Ann Bradstreet here. Hey, Ann. Ann worked for CVS Healthcare. And she might, doesn't have to necessarily, but she might, with what she did in program management operations and things like that, she might want to find another healthcare company that has a like need, because the recruiters are going to get excited when they see her candidacy because she's already been in a like company. Well, Mike and Pete are going to teach us how to find those like companies for what it is that we do. It's really pretty cool, and it's geographic, too, for some of you guys, because I know we've got at least 2 people in New York right now that are listening. Hey, Leora. And, guys, good day today. We're going to learn a lot today. So initially, at the beginning of every meeting, what I like to do is introduce you guys to people that are instrumental in helping in the network and telling you about stuff. So there are some leaders that are with us. I'm going to start with Pete, even though we're going to get Pete today. Pete, guys, Pete Hernandez, connect with him. The correct way to say it is Hernandez. Connect with Pete Hernandez, guys, and he runs our HR. We have silos of groups. You folks in Atlanta know what I'm talking about, because you guys got Frank Hartman, and he's made some awesome silos up there of people that when they speak and when they network, you know, you get all IT guys together. They know what the IT lingo is. You know, we're just commonality kind of thing. And that's what network is, because everybody knows somebody, right? So I'm going to shut up and I'm going to let Pete introduce himself and whatever he wants to tell us. We got an HR group that doesn't meet tomorrow. We meet usually, guys, on the first and third Wednesdays of every month. But for some reason, this month is kind of skewed. This group meets first and third Tuesdays. Usually, the HR meeting is right behind this meeting, but you know how the month thing is. I don't know how you describe it, but it's just...
It happens every year.
It happens every year. Okay, Pete Hernandez, guys.
Thank you, Foster. I'm not sure whether a goldfish on the floor, but I'll ignore that for now. All right, good morning. Welcome. I think today is the first day of summer. Not that we haven't already, Yeah, and it's only going to be 99, so we're in luck. It's not going to be 100 yet. All right, so I'm a retired dude. I used to be VP of Operations for property casualty insurance industry, and got laid off in 2017 for the last time, and I said I've had enough of this, and now I hang around groups like this trying to help anybody I can. So by all means, connect with me. Find me on LinkedIn. It's Pete Hernandez 99 on LinkedIn. Please do as Ann just did this week. She reached out to me with a personal message, and therefore I connected with her. Blind connections are really hard to accept because we're trying to build relationships here, folks. So please include a personal message with your connection request so we have context to how we can help you. As Foster mentioned, next week, next Wednesday at 10 a.m., online via Zoom, we have our HR group. And know that it's not exclusive to HR people. However, if you're not in HR, what a better place to be than to meet people who are in the HR industry. That includes recruiting, that includes learning and development, it includes administrative, office management, legal, anybody connected to HR at all. By all means, come out and join us. Even those of you who have never been in HR, I bet you've been a hiring manager, and therefore you're connected to HR that way as well. So please join us first and third Wednesdays at 10 a.m. The link can be found at careerdfw.org. Go to the calendar section. I prefer the agenda view. It's much easier to read. And then just go down the calendar. Monday through Saturday, we got groups meeting, morning, day, and night. Find one that speaks to you. We've also got two other groups here that I want to mention. One of them is our IT group that actually meets every Tuesday at this time at 9 a.m. So if you're in the IT field, engineering field, by all means. Again, they meet online, so you can find that link exactly the same place, careerdfw.org. And then we have a project management group that meets every Wednesday at 9. So if you're in that field, want to get into that field, it's project management, supply chain management, business analysis. All those people meet at 9 a.m. on Wednesdays. So I encourage you to join those groups as well. If you're in the healthcare field, we have a group for that also. So again, get Career DFW on your calendar and go out there and know those groups that you want to attend, whether virtually or in person. And I'll repeat what John said. Getting back to being in person is amazing. Ask prices, try to stick to groups in your area. So anyway, thank you, Foster, and I will move it on to...
Pete?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was multitasking, which is a farce. But anyway, did you mention, if everybody didn't get that written down, where can they find where all those meetings are and when?
CareerDFW.org.
And can you get it on Search for You, Inc.?
Some.
Okay.
Yeah. And also I will mention if you're looking for a position or if you're out of the DFW area, we have CareerUSA.org. And by the way, the gentleman who runs that, Jeff Morris, and Mark McDonald will talk a little about this later on. He also puts all his recordings on there of every group he does. So you can go to the careerdfw.org website, Facebook site, or the actual website, and you'll see recordings there of resume classes, interview classes, LinkedIn, you name it. So those of you who haven't been part of this network before, I encourage you to do that. Career USA has a YouTube channel also where you'll find a lot of this information and the recordings. So you'll be able to see, people like me make fools of themselves online in perpetuity. So, all right, Foster, all yours.
All right. Thank you, Pete. Okay. this is one of my favorite parts of this meeting because I get to introduce people that are just awesome in what they do, and their giving nature is tremendous. Hey, Debbie Schulk, I hadn't seen you in a while. I love my job. I get to make really, really good friends. And I want to let me back up. Put in rewind, Foster. I want to introduce you guys to Bob Ernst. Not of Ernst & Young, but better. Bob Ernst. And Bob, guys, thank you, Bob, for your service, who was a Navy guy. How many years? 28 years in the U.S. Navy. So a lot of us get to sit here in comfort because of guys like this. And Bob's going to tell you about his company and opportunities that are there and why he plugs into the network and all that sort of thing. And Bob's just a wonderful guy. He goes to church right here. And I want to introduce you guys to Bob Ernst.
Thank you, Foster. Hi, I'm Bob Ernst, and as Foster said, a Navy pilot, and I did the career transition, and now I'm a certified financial planner with Edward Jones. So hopefully you'll find the job in the career you're doing and treading down, but you may be in a dining industry like retail or something like that, and you may need to make that jump to another industry. So we're hiring for financial advisors. Talk to myself or Rob Farish here. Our promise to you is don't apply online, talk to us first. Once we get to know you, we'll put you into the recruiting system, and then a recruiter will contact you, and you'll promise that you'll get a phone screen out of it. Can't guarantee you'll get hired, but it's a great career opportunity, and with all the craziness in the market and all the baby boomers retiring, it's a recession-proof industry. You're going to be busy for the next 40 years. So consider a career change, whether it's to a financial advisor field or another industry that's growing. Consider taking your skill set somewhere else. Now's the time to do it. There's plenty of job openings, and there's plenty of people that are willing to hire you. So don't limit yourself to whatever you've done in the past. Consider, hey, maybe what I want to do in the future, and have some independence and control in your schedule, which I really like, and I like the fact that we get to help people. I'll reiterate what everybody's been saying, get out in person and meet people. You know, it's just nice to meet people in person again, not see them on Zoom. I got to meet another Navy sailor, Morgan, this morning, so it's great to have her here. And there's all kinds of nice people you'll meet. So get out, meet people in person. Let us know how we can help you out. If you're not interested in financial advising, hey, we've got people that have come through here that are in different industries, and we've helped Janice and connect at Southwest Airlines. So let us know how we can help you out. My last name is Ernst, 5 letters, E-R-N-S-T. And I'm glad to help, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob. Thanks for being a part of us. Okay. A couple of more people I want you guys to meet. Let me look around and see if I've forgotten someone. Look at everybody getting nervous. That Foster, he'll throw you under the bus. So we're going to get a chance to meet Meg Rose Caterio, who we call Mez. She will be later. When we go to break, all of you guys that are on YouTube are going to get to meet Mez for the Mez moment. It's actually pretty cool. So, Mark, I think I should pick on you next. Mark, guys, is a personality that you guys recognize. When he gets up here, you'll see his face and you go, oh, that's that Mark guy from the Who You Know Job Networking Show. Every Wednesday, you see Mark, Trevor, and I on the Who You Know Job Networking Show. The show is to help you guys connect with people, places, and things all over that will be instrumental in your job search. So, without further ado, the brains of the outfit, honestly, is here. He's a dad. He's got 3 boys, so I never know what I'm going to get when I see Mark. All right, Mark Elder.
If I'm the brains, you're the brawn, right?
I mean, I'm Braun.
You're the brawn? You're looking good, Foster.
I used to be.
Thank you, guys. My name is Mark Elder, and I'm going to put my Trevor Houston hat on right now, because Trevor couldn't be with us today. So he sends his regards, and we want to talk to you a little bit about, I'm going to start with the Who You Know Network. So the Who You Know Show is a career transition live stream and podcast show that's designed to help you guys not only provide resources, strategies, but also inspiration. And we know that in the job search, it can be lonely. It can be frustrating. It can be a lot of different things and not necessarily positive, right? So we want to make sure that we're uplifting you guys, that we're helping support you, that you're not alone. And obviously you can see here, South Lake, the pit crew, all these groups that are out there, you are not alone. So there's a lot of support and a lot of help there for you. So if you look on your tables, there will be a little page like this, and there is a QR code on that. So if you have a phone with a camera, if you don't have a phone with a camera, I don't know what's going on. But anyway, if you have a phone with a camera, just make sure that you click into that QR code. That will take you to our site, which actually I want to highlight one thing in particular, because coming up in a couple weeks, we have the Backstage Pass live studio audience to the next batch of shows that we're going to be recording and airing that day. So there's actually several links when you click into that QR code, but that Backstage Pass is right about the middle, and make sure that you click into that and register, because you're here local. And you can come and participate. So not only do we have the live studio audience, but after that, we've got the backstage party. So we've got red carpet. We're going to roll out for you guys. Come on down. It's at Dallas North Tollway and 635 at the Lincoln Center. And so, again, July 13th, that's Wednesday, July 13th from 2:30 till about 6. So make sure that you register for that if you're available. We would love to have you there. And all the other links, our website, et cetera, are available through that QR code. Tomorrow, every Wednesday, we release the Who You Know Show episode. So tomorrow is the next episode. That's going to air at 3 p.m. So that's on LinkedIn Live, YouTube, all the channels. You can actually get a preview and get to the show also from that website and from LinkedIn. Another initiative under the Who You Know Network that we're launching is myself and another gentleman named Sean Welsh, who is active duty Army. He's at, I believe, Fort Benning, Georgia. He's getting ready to out process, but he and I are starting under that network the Vet SOS show. And so what that show is designed for is for active duty members that are transitioning out of service into the civilian sector. Veterans, military family members. So if you know any veterans or military members, make sure that you're cluing them into this. There are a lot of what we call VSOs, and that stands for Veteran Service Organizations, that are around the country. A lot of them are regional, right? And so they don't get a lot of national exposure, but they will help anybody, right? You don't have to be in their region to get help. So that's what that show is designed for, again, is to bring resources, strategies, and uplift that segment of the career transition space. So tomorrow is episode 4, and that is going to be at 4:30 p.m. Central, 5:30 p.m. Eastern is where Sean is at. So check that out. And again, that can be navigated to on LinkedIn or at the Who You Know YouTube page. And all of that is available through the QR code. So, all right, let me change hats real quick, take off my Trevor hat, put on my Mark hat. Aside from that, we have a financial services practice, and our broker-dealer is Nye Life Securities. New York Life is the parent company, and we want to introduce you to a lot of the opportunities that are open there. We actually have about 4 or 5 different locations here in DFW, and we are hiring for sure. So corporate W-2 salary positions, as well as advisor or agent positions too, but I want to focus on the W-2 positions because that's probably what most of y'all are looking for. So if you go to newyorklife.com/careers, you can search through all of the open positions, and right now there are a ton, more so than pre-pandemic. It's more than I've ever seen actually on our website. So there's a large number of remote positions as well. So through developing a relationship with our broker-dealer and the director or corporate vice president of talent acquisition, we can get your foot in the door. We can actually get eyes on your resume. So here's how that process works. If there's anything on the site posted that you have an interest in and, keyword here, are qualified for, go ahead and apply right online, and then let me know. Connect with me on LinkedIn or connect with me on the break. I'll get you my email. But let me know that you've applied and send me a copy of your resume, and I will get that to the corporate vice president of talent acquisition and their team for those positions, not only here in DFW, but around the country as well as remote. And they will get eyes on your resume. So you have to put yourself in the black hole, and then we will get you pulled out of the black hole. So here's the other thing. It's not just all financial positions. It's HR, it's project management and IT, it's accounting and finance. There's all sorts of positions that are related to that industry that you could land into. So let us know if we can be a resource for you there. I always like to give a inspirational word, and that is there's two things that you can control, two things that you really should worry about, and that's your attitude and your activity, right? There's a lot of other things going on in your search that you can't control, and so don't worry as much about those, right? I'm not saying don't worry about them at all, but really the focus should be on what you can control, and that's your activity and your attitude. And as long as both of those are positive, good things will happen. So lastly, on the show, I gave a tip, and it made an impact already, so with some other people that we're helping. So I want to just give this tip. In your LinkedIn connections and your LinkedIn feed, you get alerts, right? And those alerts come through, and some of them are like, so-and-so landed a job, or so-and-so left this company and went to another company, right? That is something that actually is an opportunity for you. They're in your network, number one, so you can connect with them and ask them, congratulate them, et cetera, ask them what their transition was. But also, they've just left a job. So what do you think may be open? That job they just left, right? So that's a way that you can comb through your LinkedIn with information that you already have and look for some more opportunities. We talked about the hidden job market. That's part of the hidden job market. So at any rate, blessings to you guys. Hope you have a great week. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being online. And we'll talk with you soon.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, guys, I forgot another fun part of our meeting. We get to talk about people that have landed, and I forgot to tell you guys about people that have landed. So to start with, Sheila Shoup is at Fidelity. So I think she started on Monday. So Sheila, if you are listening, did I pronounce your last name correctly? It's either Shoup or Shup. I've got to ask you that the next time we talk. So she is at Fidelity. And John Hamer, some of you guys probably remember John Hamer from right here. John is he's a center engineer at Verizon, my old company. So I got excited to hear that I can talk to John about Verizon. I like to keep up with my old company. All right. Donna Howard is a CHRO as well that has landed. And I didn't get the company that Donna landed at, but Pete, do you remember which one it was? Yeah. So we're gonna be bringing that to you in times to come in future shows. Okay. Marcel Tennyson is with DFW Airport. He is a parking operations manager there, and a friend of ours from our very own South Lake Focus Group is the general manager, and Marcel met him and ended up landing the job. So congratulations, Marcel. And I think you started yesterday, actually, so you better not be listening to me. I'll tell Tim that you're watching TV on the job. Okay, guys, Mark opened the door for this event that we're going to have on July 13th. It is wonderful. You guys get a chance to come out. We encourage you guys to come out and visit with us. You know what? There's food. Mark forgot to leave that out. It's not barbecue. We're working on that. But it's an all-day affair. It's really fun, and we talk about some wonderful things, and there's food. So don't forget, July 13th, we'll be reminding you guys through the groups.io platforms. Some of our groups are on Google Groups, and I am notorious for posting stuff. You guys probably get tired of every time you see Foster Williams' name on these groups, you probably roll your eyes in your head, but that's okay. I'm trying to bring you guys good information. So there's something else that I never talk about, and I need to do so. You guys call me the job father, right? Well, there is. Does John have me? Oh, my goodness, look at there. That's bad. Okay. John Stop it, man. So, you know what? On Fridays, every Friday at 11 o'clock, there's a show called The Job Father. Me, Mez is there. Dana Gingrich is my co-host. It's an hour show, and here's what we try to do, guys. The first 30 minutes of the show, we like to have a subject matter expert there, is what we like to say. It will be, a lot of times, Mike Ray shows up, but that subject matter expert brings some good information that job seekers all over the United States, you guys in New York, all over the United States, you guys need to understand about a great number of things while you're in job search. We also like to bring companies that are looking to hire. Right now, Mike Ray's old company, Lennox, is going to be with us Friday. Mary Leone is the lead talent acquisition lady over at Lennox. And for the whole kit and caboodle, guys, Lennox is a big old company. Check it out on Friday. She will be there for the first 30 minutes telling us about what's going on in Lennox, why we should work at Lennox, and opportunities, the doors that are open at Lennox, and how we can connect. Because, you know, it's all about networking. It's all about, it's not what you know, it's, what is that, Mark? Who you know. Ooh. So this is going to be on the Job Father, guys, on Friday, 11 o'clock Central Standard Time. So you guys in New York, you guys in North Carolina, you guys in Florida, it's going to be noon your time, noon to 1. On the second part of the show, we are going to have an HR expert, a lady that's looking to be an HR business partner. She's going to explain to us what the HR business partner does and her candidacy. So you companies that are listening right now, tune in so that you can meet this lady. And you know what? You might want to hire her. And that's the whole purpose. We've had a couple of folks that have been hired from the very same venue. Okay. That is Friday, again, Central Standard Time at 11 o'clock. Okay. I want you guys also for the probably about 17 years, there has been a job posting website called Search, the number 4, letter U, INC.com. What this website has been put together to do is to, when you guys land jobs and you need to hire somebody, we connect you guys to the very people that are looking to hire the people that are responsible for the jobs. So it's not going to have as many jobs on it as LinkedIn, but you know what? These are networked opportunities. We are a big network, we're a huge network, and a lot of people like to pay it forward by helping the network by hiring people that are out of the network. You know, we're people, we like these commonalities, and that is our commonality. We're all out of this network, and we help each other. We pay it forward, right? Okay, I see some heads going like this. This is good. Okay, so let me tell you that website again is Search, SEARCH, the number 4, the letter U, INC.com. If you see a job there, if you're interested in, let's talk. Contact me. Definitely, you guys connect with me on LinkedIn. All of you folks that are in other states that I can't see right now, but you guys can see me, connect with me. I would be more than glad to connect you, endorse with you. I've been a recruiter for a few years, and we'll talk about your candidacy for that position as far as I can tell, you know, from the paper and that kind of thing. Okay, another service that we provide here at the network. So now there's a couple of more people I want you guys to meet, and then we're going to listen to whatever Mike Ray and Pete Hernandez has to tell us. Morning, Janice. And I tell you guys, I make a lot of friends in this network. Okay, so Mark went, so let's go to the other Mark McDonald. Mark McDonald, guys, is the creator, founder, chief cook and bottle washer of the Pit Crew practice interview team. Mark's going to tell us all about that and how, over the years, how it has prepared a number of people to get the job that they got. Uh-oh, another Mark, the original Mark.
No,
Oh, is that you? It was going off, Mark. I didn't know it was yours. Okay. Mark McDonald, good to see you, sir.
All right.
I'm praying for you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. All right. Well, hello, everybody. So what is the PIT Crew about? The practice interview team. We're all about doing our best to help you shorten your job search. And we do that by giving you an opportunity to practice your interviewing skills. It's a very experiential event. It is a mock interview. It's customized and personalized to your situation, though. You pick the job description. Of course, you send in your resume. We'll make adjustments for where you are in the process, if you're early in the process or later on when you might be interviewing with VPs or C-level interviewers. So we cover the gamut, and the heart and soul of the PIT Crew are the volunteers. And volunteers means everything the PIT Crew does is free. There's no charge to you. We understand that you're in job transition. Cash flow may be an issue, so it's all free. And I'm going to talk about several things that the PIT Crew does. So just remember, all of those are absolutely free. And we do a lot of them on video, too. So for those on YouTube, you can reach out to the PIT Crew, and we'll set up a video discussion, one-on-one, or sometimes, or a panel interview. But I started off to say that the heart and soul of the PIT Crew are the volunteers, and the volunteers have all been hiring managers as part of their professional responsibility, and they have also all been through job transition or currently in job transition. So about 90% of them are currently seeking a job just like you, and they're volunteering their time to give you a practice interview experience. And so then the best part, based on that, is after the interview is over, which takes about 45 minutes, and like I said, it's customized for your situation, you're going to get feedback. So we're going to have a discussion afterwards about what came up during the interview, what you did well, what you could have done better or done differently, and that'll all be recorded. So you'll get a recording to review afterwards and do your own self-assessment of how you did. And then the great part of all of this is you can come back and practice again. As a matter of fact, we say practice early and practice often. So that means start early in your process, in your job search process. Just find a job description. Maybe it looks like your dream job, and send that in. It doesn't matter if you're engaged with that company or a recruiter. You can just practice against that job description. So practice early, and then practice often. So as often as necessary until you reach that point, that confidence point, where you can handle any interview situation. And so some people say, well, how many times is that? Probably 3 to 5. The record is 9 times, 9 practices in 14 months, and then that person landed. So I have some evidence if you practice 9 times, you're going to land. So that's the way that goes. And so when you're ready to practice, you need to send your information to me at dallaspitcrew@gmail.com. There it is up there circled, dallaspitcrew@gmail.com. Everything the PIT Crew does is through that email address. I mean, it's dedicated to the PIT Crew. So some people will contact me through LinkedIn, and I encourage you to link in with me. But we set up, we schedule events, practice interviews, or coaching sessions through the Gmail address. So the quickest way to get a practice interview set up is through the Gmail address, and it takes a couple of days to get the schedules lined up, your schedule and the schedule for the panelists. So include in the interview when you're available, +2 and +3 days from now. So, and if you're completely open, then when you're not available would be just as good, okay? So if you're not available from 2 to 3 on Thursday, just say you're not available, and we'll schedule around your timing and with that lead time of a couple of days. So that's how the PIT Crew works. We have a lot of success. People often say that the PIT Crew interview was a little tougher than actual interviews, and that's all part of the process of building your confidence that you can handle any interview situation. So we won't shy away from asking the tough questions like, why did you leave your last job, or what are your salary requirements, or don't you think you're overqualified? And whatever matches your situation, we'll give you a chance to practice that and then get some feedback on it. And then practice again. So I just mentioned there, why did you leave your last job? And that's one thing that I do separately from the PIT Crew is I coach, but I coach just on how to answer that question. And I kind of fell into this by, had a few people early in my career with the pit crew, which goes back to 2013, who had been fired, right? So let's figure out what we're going to say, during your interview because you got fired. And so I've kind of developed an expertise in how to answer that question. And every situation is unique. And so we'll have an individual one-on-one session, confidential, and talk about your situation and storyboard how to answer that question, the initial question, why did you leave your last position, but also any follow-up questions that may be generated. And the more complicated your situation is, the more likely there are going to be follow-up questions, and so you want to be prepared for that. So we'll have a phone conversation, or we can have a Zoom meeting with a recording and review that, and it'll take about an hour, and I think you'll feel much better about your ability to answer that question. Again, with the confidence that when that question comes up, you're going to answer it with brevity and not draw any extra attention to really what you need to be focusing on is how you can help your new employer, right, that you're interviewing with, not what happened in your last job. So that's another service from the pit crew. We also have one-way interviews. So we have the panel interviews, which are two-way on Zoom. I also have a tool available to me that Jeff Morris from careerdfw.org got donated. It's called Easy Hire. It's a professional level tool that companies pay big bucks for to do their one-way interviewing. And so for the pit crew, I give you the questions in advance. You interact with the tool. I give you a link to the tool, and you just interact with it. You answer those 4 questions. You get 3 minutes each. And then afterwards, you get a copy of that recording. And so you can look and see how you did. And if you're not happy with it, then you can do it again. So our goal in the pit crew is to simply get you comfortable using this one-way interview tool, because it's a very strange experience, I got to say. It's a very awkward experience to just be talking to your computer with nobody on the other end. You can't tell a joke. Nobody's going to respond. It's very awkward. It's very awkward. So practice it, and you'll feel much better. And companies are using these now to make decisions. We had this happen just about 2 months ago or so. Somebody in Florida, actually. So we talked about all around the nation. So somebody in Florida used the tool, didn't like the way it turned out, practiced again. And then when they went in for their face-to-face interview, the interviewer, the hiring manager, commented on how good that video was. I mean, it made a difference. And so customers are using this to do their pre-screening. And they can take that video and send it around to everybody in the company who's involved to get some pre-assessment of your candidacy. So take advantage of that practice opportunity as well. So, and then if you want to do that same way, dallaspitcrew@gmail.com, just send me an email and I'll line you up. I also encourage you to link in with me, and today we're going to be talking about reference solutions. And so having a big LinkedIn network is a good way to find people inside the companies that you find through reference solutions. And before I wrap up, I want to tell you my story about reference solutions and how powerful it can be. And you'll see from some of the examples that Mike Ray gives, but the one that I was so impressed with was I had someone I was working with who worked at a law firm doing events, outreach to their clients, and educational sessions for their clients. Did I say law firm? Yeah, law firm. So she was kind of an event coordinator, but she did a little bit more than that. And so she was looking for a similar type role. And so what we did, and Mike did this for us, you'll see how to do it, is we talked about what kind of law firms would hire her, okay? And the small law firms are going to, outsource this, right? They're going to hire event planning companies. And the larger companies, though, above a certain size, are likely to have someone on their staff that does this, okay? And then in between, it's probably an ad hoc. So when they have an event, they form a committee of employees, and those committees do the event. And so it's only these larger law firms that would hire somebody like her, and that's where she worked before. So we did a search on law firms above a certain size. I think it was 50 people. 3 zip codes, and so very precise. And what came back were 6 or 7, I think it was 7 candidates for her to look at. So now, talk about shortening your job search. She's not going to waste any time talking to these smaller law firms that aren't going to hire her. They're just not going to, okay? So she could focus on these 7 that were close to where she lived and were likely, had a good chance of being big enough to have their own dedicated event person. So that's the kind of thing that Reference Solutions can do for you. And you have a much better chance of landing if you're focused on companies who can hire you and don't waste any time any other way, and having 2 or 3 interviews and then be told, no, you're not the right fit. So good, take advantage of Reference Solutions, and that's my pit crew story. So reach out to me on LinkedIn and let's join our networks, and that's where you'll find people inside these companies that you're going to target. And as soon as you're ready, but practice early and practice often. As soon as you're ready, send me your information, and we'll set up a practice interview for you. One final thing is a couple of weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, we interviewed someone, and he said, "This is great. My son is looking for a position. He's recently graduated a couple of years ago, and so he's here today. Trey's going to be practicing this afternoon at 5:30. So there you go. It doesn't apply just to you. If you've got grown children, send them to the pit crew if they're out of work." Thanks.
Thanks, Mark. That's a wonderful service. Guys, we want to be practiced up. And I want to say one thing that I've noticed. In 20 years of doing this, what we will do when we don't have a job, guys, the bills keep coming to the house every time we check the mail and everything, and we get frantic. And Mark has mentioned this on the show before. We frantically apply for jobs. A lot of those jobs that we're applying for, guys, we know we're not going to get a call for those opportunities. So I, as a recruiter, would want to make sure and tell you guys to focus intently on those opportunities that you're a good fit for, because then I want to encourage you to contact me. We'll talk about that job. I have still do, contract myself out to help companies write job descriptions even today. So that entails sitting down with some of you guys are hiring managers, sitting down with you guys and say, okay, I see what you're looking to hire. Who are you looking to hire? Let's dig let's look behind the curtain a little bit and figure out who it is that you're trying to hire. And we put together a job description. So don't frantically apply, guys. Don't apply for those jobs that you like. I can do that. If you guys tell me, Foster, I can do that, probably it is not the right job, honestly. So we know those jobs that we get excited about because we know our background, we know what we're good at, and we see that job and that opportunity, we get excited about that. Those are the jobs that I want to encourage you guys to apply for and talk to myself, Foster Williams, about. And, okay, so John, we are up to Judge Bugbee is not with us today. We see Judge every other week, and he gives us the job report. And John has probably got the job report up on the screen. He's getting it. And if I can transfer the mic back to you, tell us a little bit about what the job report is and its value in what it is that we do. Here comes John.
Sure, I'd be happy to do that.
Okay.
Okay, as the slide says up there, Judge Bugbee, God bless him, has faithfully developed this over the years. The job report is a, how do I want to put this, a summary, a condensation of all the activities, meetings, workshops, other things going on that you can find on careerdfw.org. But what he does is he condenses it into a report that he sends out the Monday before Frisco Connect meets. So that's the first and third Monday of the month. And it covers all the activities between our meetings. And it's It's wonderfully done. You can subscribe to it at this. Send him an email at thejobreportfc@gmail.com. That's all you have to do. You don't have to type an email message. Just put that in the subject line. He knows what you want, and he'll get you on the distribution list. And you can unsubscribe from that distribution list anytime you want. And to repeat, he covers all the activities going on, and he also includes some documents attached to that include the openings at New York Life in a spreadsheet format where you can click on the link in that, and it'll take you to that posting for that job at the New York Life site. He also has job listings from Babich and Associates in a spreadsheet format where you can just click on the link and it'll take you there. So there's a plethora of information that'll cover about a 2-week period. Now there are some months that have a 5th Tuesday where Frisco Connect doesn't meet. In those 1 or 2 months a year, it'll cover the 3-week period. And he sends it out faithfully every Monday before the Frisco Connect meeting. Again, you can unsubscribe at any time. It's done in a wonderful format. So I really encourage you to use that as a tool to put together your calendar, your activity calendar to fulfill your needs. If there's a presentation somewhere else by Mike and Pete on reference solutions and you miss this one, you can find it somewhere else. But there's a ton of activity going on, so in order to keep organized and not get overwhelmed and kind of figure out what kind of activity you need to take care of to fill in the blanks as you go through your search for employment, this is really a great tool to do that. So we encourage you, just send just the jobreportfc@gmail.com in the subject line job report. He'll send it out to you. If you didn't get the one he sent out yesterday, he'll catch you up by sending that out right away, and then he'll send it out every Monday before Frisco Connect. So please take advantage of that. Okay, that's it, Foster.
Okay. Thanks, John.
Thank
That
you.
job report is very important. It's a wonderful thing for us to have as we're in job. If we know what's going on, we can do something about it, right? And we can connect with somebody that knows somebody. Just saying. I'm real excited about this networking thing. I'm sure y'all can't tell. Okay, John's telling me to hurry up. Okay, we're going to break, guys. This is a time where everybody here in the room can take a break. John, as he explained earlier, the restrooms are through these north doors and through the south doors over here. And while we are at break, folks on YouTube, you can take a break too, but we've got the Mez moment so you guys can learn about what Mez is going to tell you guys. While you are, if you're at home, you don't have as far to walk to the restroom as we got to go, or to the coffee pot. So why don't we take about a 5-minute break? We'll listen to Mez, and we will be back to hear from Mike Ray and Pete Hernandez. Reference USA. No, reference Pete Hernandez. That's, you know, we're American, okay. So I'm going to shut up, and you guys are going to go to break. So do it. Bye.
How are you? Good. How are you? Good. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3.
It's Mez.
Love your shirt, Foster. Don't dress up on our behalf.
I knew it was coming, so I had to appropriate color.
Oh Lord. All right, Emerald. I'm just just gonna go ahead and get started. Welcome YouTube world, welcome to Frisco Connect. See some familiar faces, how you guys doing? I'm basically the entertainment of the break, if you will. So we will get through this together, everybody, shall we? Sure. All right, so like we mentioned, my name is Mez, and I am a huge supporter of this network. I came through a few years ago, but background on me, I am a biochemical engineer. And the funny story I tell people is, first they go, what the heck is a biochemical engineer? And I'm saying, I'm either the mad scientist in the comic book, or I'm the one that gets kidnapped in the comic books. So practically, what that really does look like, biochemical engineers do everything. We're more a holistic engineer. We do anything from pharmaceuticals, oil and gas, water conservation, research labs, food manufacturing, processing, yada, yada, yada. But I ended up, my happy butt ended up in the oil and gas industry for 10 years. Same company, 10 years, wore many, many different hats. Everything from field engineering to general engineer to, what else did I do? Sales to operations, logistics. I did everything. International affairs, PR, as Pete Hernandez is laughing at me with PR. Yes, I did some PR stuff. But then, after about 10 years with this company, I got laid off. I got laid off in March 2019, which is pretty typical. I'm pretty sure some of you guys can relate. End of Q1, got laid off. So I was kind of like one of those sharks you see on the Discovery Channel where you get hit with a bang stick real quick. Like, do not know what's going on. Got drunk for about a week. Do not recommend that. That's not network recommended. Not a healthy way to deal with your emotions. Just keeping it real. So the following Sunday, this is my church, and Uncle Chuck mentioned Frisco Connect. So I show up, and the first person that I meet is Pete Hernandez. Showed up late, which is pretty typical for me. He pulled out a chair in the back room here. We were in a different room, right, Mark? We were in that other room. I just remember it like it was yesterday. But connected with Pete, connected with Foster, had no clue what was going on. I still had a resume that I wrote when I was still in college that had script font, like the itty bitty script font. No idea, I didn't have a business card. No idea what was going on, but I got connected, like I mentioned, with Pete and Foster, and they haven't gotten rid of me yet, so I'm gonna keep coming back. So that's kind of my background story. Today, we're our Mez moment, if you will. I'm going to talk to you about my career changed. So like I mentioned, I was a biochemical engineer, and through this network, I went from oil and gas to IT project management. I had to think about that for a second. I'm like, what do I do for a living? Oh yeah. But got way over certified. You can see some of them up there. I PMP, ITIL, Lean Six Sigma Green Belt, Scrum Master, COBIT 5, and I have a few other ones, but I think Trevor once said it's my alphabet soup behind my name. Your degrees have degrees. Yes, my degrees have degrees, like Trevor likes to say, but way over certified, and through this network, I was able to get the funding, because we don't have a job. No funding, no nothing, but through this network, I was able to get it all paid for. So on top of everything else, because of this network, they were able to help me transition from biochemical engineering to IT project management. And now this is a part of Mez Moments where I kind of give you that little tidbit, and then Pete Hernandez gets to barrage me with questions. So Pete, take her away.
Well, primarily what we want to know is, how did you decide to go from one career to the other? Why project management? Why IT project management?
First and foremost, when I got laid off, my friends and family, when I started telling them, was not the response I really wanted to hear from them, which I wanted to hear. Poor baby sweetie, you're okay. And they didn't do that. They said, you're not going back in the oil and gas industry, right? You're not going back in the oil and gas industry. Remember, I have 2 other significant others in my life, or was in my life, that were also in the oil and gas industry. And my entire career, technically, was project management. Everything from field engineering, design, sales, it was a type of or form of project management. And IT is pretty fail-safe, if you will. We're, what do you call it? Recession-proof. So that's why I wanted to go in IT.
So you've done those jobs, you just never had the title.
Yeah, exactly. Who needs a tiara? I do. I want the tiara. Thank you very much. So.
All right. So why project management? I mean, tell me what it is about your past career that led you to this.
Project management is kind of a generic term, kind of like HR. There's different flavors of project management, just like there are different flavors of HR, different flavors of engineers. So IT project management, for me, I could be a chameleon and go into any industry I wanted to go. So it was a blank slate, a new start, and that's why IT project management appealed to me. And these certifications that I mentioned, especially PMP, gets you into the door for a lot of companies pretty quickly.
Excellent. So if I can paraphrase, in essence, you had this skill set already in your past career, you just didn't have the title for it, so you wanted to get the certifications because there's no way nobody's going to hire you without having either certifications or experience.
Oh, absolutely. I got mad skills.
Okay. So a lot of us, and that's one thing you have to remember, a lot of us have these skills from our past positions, but you've never had the title.
Yeah.
You've done all this stuff, but you just never had the title for it, so companies are not going to hire you. So the road that Meg Rose took was to get the certifications to go along with the skills she already had in order to be able to present herself to companies as having the ability to apply for those jobs, primarily like she wanted to do with project management. So,
Yep.
all right.
Thank you.
You're
Anyway, I think that's all the time I have. Foster, am I getting kicked off yet? No? All right. Well, who wants to hear my landing story?
I do.
All right. Thank you, Pete.
You're welcome.
You have any more questions? And I mean, you guys, this is very informal if you couldn't tell, so you guys are more than welcome to jump in if you have any questions, or even afterwards you can stop me and I will gladly tell you all the details. But my landing story, so viewer discretion and listener discretion is advised, because this is not encouraged, or my landing story is not encouraged by this network, and everything that could have possibly gone wrong did. You're looking at me funny, Foster.
Yeah, I've got to be the mean guy.
Okay.
Cut you off.
You're cutting me off? Okay.
I didn't know I was until I just got the
Well,
word.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm being obedient. I'm not being mean. I'm being obedient.
Absolutely. Well, we will continue next time. So they have to come back. They have to hear my landing story. So stay tuned. But thank you, Foster. Thank you, Pete.
Thank you, Maz.
And have a great day.
The Maz moments.
Ah, wait. Connect with me.
I love it.
That's my LinkedIn. So
Maz Maserati.
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 All right, guys. I'm done. I'll be quiet.
Thank you. Okay, so I am going to reintroduce two friends of mine that are a whole lot smarter than I am. Actually, they probably should have been recruiters. But this vertically challenged fellow over here to the right that you're about to meet is Mike Ray. Real simple. Mike, can you spell Mike? Ray. R-A-Y. Here comes Pete Hernandez for us American people. Hernandez in Texas. Guys, we're going to learn about reference solutions. They're going to tell you all about it. And when you get to seeing these guys talking about it, demonstrating it, you'll understand. I won't even have to go into it. They will tell you guys why we recruiters are smiling. See, these teeth are a little crooked, but anyway. With this product, I think it is absolutely necessary, since we're all job seekers, it's necessary that we get a chance to hear what it's all about so we can use it. Okay, take it away, Pete.
I think I've already got this mic.
We're mic'd up.
So you're cool with that.
We should be mic'd up?
We should be mic'd up.
Are you mic'd up?
Mike is mic'd up. There you go. Can we do a dad joke, please?
Okay, let me think of a good one. I'll get back with you on that one.
Okay.
All right, now don't put them under pressure like that.
You didn't send me a dad joke last night.
Good morning, everybody. Good to see you. My name is Mike Ray. I'm a VP Director of Marketing and Product Management, Product Transformation, Customer Satisfaction, Company Results, Mike Ray. And I'm pleased to introduce Pete, who is tag teaming with me, and we're going to discuss this important tool called Reference Solutions. Pete, would you introduce yourself, please?
All right, I will tell you again, I'm still a retired dude. I spent almost 40 years in the property casualty insurance industry, both in commercial and personal lines. I did primarily operations and IT management. So I had a bounce around in my career between those two, both at the company level primarily, a little bit at the agency level as well. So again, I reiterate, connect with me if I can help in any way. Always personalize your message on LinkedIn so I have context as to where you met me, what you're looking for. Thanks.
Thank you, Pete. And today we're going to talk about reference solutions and identifying and researching and networking within target companies. Now you see up there it says Reference USA. Well, that's what it used to be called a couple years ago. And so you may hear librarians or you may hear other people refer to this as Reference USA. The new name is Reference Solutions. Okay, so as you're going through the process, remember that you're working with Reference Solutions, but they changed the name, and not everybody's picked up on the name change, so they may still refer to it as Reference USA. Now, please, Pete.
All right, believe it or not, we are not compensated by Reference Solutions. We're doing this of our own free will, so anything we say is our own opinions. This is a product that we'll tell you about later that you can find in the library, but we are doing this just to help job seekers. We are not part of Reference Solutions or Data Axle or anything like that. We're just guys here talking about the product for you. Our Reference Solutions, as this presentation can be found in two different places. Actually, not this very one, but one we've done prior. So you can find it in one or two places. On the careerdfw.org, which we've been talking about this morning, all the resources there. If you go to that website under Resources, Career Files, then Chapter 5.3, you'll be finding a group called Databases, and you'll see the presentation there from May 13th. And you can also go to the Facebook Career DFW site and see the presentation there as well. And it'll be just like this one, just from a few weeks ago, so it'll cover exactly the same material.
And one of the things we'll point out, we're going to cover most of the functionality of this tool and how to take advantage of it. And my personality style is one where I pick up on things fairly quick, and I'm 3 steps ahead, and I keep wanting to ask questions. Can it do this? Will it do that? And I'm sure there's somebody in the audience that has a similar type personality that picks up on things quick and goes, can it do this? Can it do that? I want it to do this for me. Hold your questions, because we're going to cover the material, most of the material throughout the session today. And if we don't get to your question, feel free we have a question and answer at the end where we'll be happy to pick it up. And for those of you online, if you want to type in the comment section, Bill will transfer that information back to us, any questions that you may have. Now, if we cover something that was not clear to you, stop us and say, wait a minute, what did you just say? Would you repeat that? We're okay with that, because we want to make sure that you understand and get the concept. It's really not that difficult to use, but as it is, if there's something that we say that's not clear, ask us to repeat it. We'll be happy to do so.
All right, so what is a target company? Does anybody know? You guys have a list of target companies already? All right, so a target company is a company that sounds good to you, maybe in the same industry that you're in now, maybe in a different industry, but it's a company that you want to target as something that you may want to work for. A company either because it has your beliefs or whatever the case may be, or it's in this area, but that is your target company. So when I was looking, obviously I just told you I was in the insurance industry. So for example, those were 3 companies that I would have targeted. Hartford or Travelers, anybody you see on these commercials on TV pitching insurance, that would have been one of my targets. And then Mike, being in the HVAC industry, would have targeted those companies, Rheem, Kubota, and Compact Machine Tool. And again, those being in the industry he wanted to get into, or he was already into. And so those were his targets while he was looking. All right, so, we all attend these different networking groups. And they always pretty much tell you the same thing about introducing yourself. You talk about who you are, so you first give out your name, and then you talk about what you do. And many people say, what I do is my title. I'm a project manager, I'm an HR manager, whatever the case may be. I'm a biochemical engineer, whoever knows what that is. So then my value, what do I bring to the table? As a project manager, I've handled projects, over $10 million and brought them in on time and on budget. Well, that tells me now the value I bring. Or as an operations manager, I've reduced expenses by 40% in my last gig. Great, now I know what value you bring to my company, what your specialty is. And then, again, you always repeat your name because people really weren't interested until you actually said, I can save you 40%, and now they're paying attention, now they want your name again. But one thing we're always lacking here is I never communicate what my target companies are. Because, taking Meg Rose, for instance, who's a biochemical engineer, I would have no earthly idea how to help her. But if she tells me that her target company is ExxonMobil, oh, okay, now I can try to help her. Because now I know somebody at ExxonMobil, and it doesn't matter to me what she does, I can help her by finding a contact there. So what are your target companies? If you know them, write it down, shout them out, whatever the case may be. Because folks, that's how we're going to help each other. So if we know that one of you is looking at a particular target company, Janice is looking for whatever company it is, and one of us here in the group or online may be able to help her. So if you have a target company, let us know.
Do you have a target company?
I do. L3 Harris.
L3 Harris.
L3 Harris.
Okay. Anybody else have a target company? Yes. Global Life? Oh, okay, Global Life. And then,
Baylor Scott White.
I'm sorry?
Baylor Scott and White.
Oh, Foster and I have a great contact there. I'm sure Foster's already told you.
Baylor Scott and White. Okay.
All right.
So now that we're sharing some of our target companies amongst ourselves, if you happen to have a contact, encourage you to reach out to the person that just announced they're looking for contacts at those companies and connect with them and develop that relationship so that you can then begin the process of interacting and networking and developing a relationship into that company. You like that word, relationship, Foster? Okay, so there's a plethora of companies that are out there, and when you get out to the tool, they'll announce to you that there's over 73 million different companies that are in the United States or in North America, and so that's an awful lot of companies that are potential companies where you could work. Now there are a fewer companies that are verified out in the tool, something along the range of about 17 million different companies that are verified. But overall, there are about 73 million total companies that are out there. And so, the question is, how many companies do we want to have? And me personally, when I'm working on things, I can only work on a few. So do I want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something like that? But wouldn't it be nice if I could get to like a list of 50 to 100 and have that 50 to 100 that I could look at and say, okay, this week I'm going to focus my efforts on these 3 companies in that list, and do some research and understand what the culture is and see what the company's into, what it's doing, and learn more about that company or those companies. I prefer to focus my efforts, but I have a long list so that if, okay, this company doesn't fit me, the culture just doesn't fit for what I want to do, then I can put it off to the side and pull another company in and start doing research on that one as well and networking into that company. Now, I was a member of an accountability group. And every week that I went into the accountability group, they kept asking me, said, okay, what are your target companies? And if I'm anything like, or if you're anything like what I was, my response was always the last job that I filled out that went into the black hole. So there was a job on LinkedIn. It was beautiful. That was the job I wanted. It was me. It had my name written all over it. It did all the things that I do. It was great. That's my target company. And I would say that. And they would go, oh, no. Where's your list of target companies? And I go, well, I don't know. And they said, well, you need to go to the library and use this tool to find your list of target companies. Yeah, okay, I'll do that. And following week, came back, same thing happened. Third week, same thing happened. They said, you really need to go to the library. Finally, I said, okay, I'm going to the library and I'm going to learn about this tool. It was Reference USA, now it's Reference Solutions. And I'm going to get my library card and I'm going to go in and get my list of target companies. And so it took me a while with the cattle prod at my accountability group. They said, get out there and go do it. And I did it finally. So if you're anything like me, don't hesitate, keep going. Take one step and put one foot in front of the other and go and get your target companies. Now, one of the things that I'll note is that I was being reactive to the jobs that were posted out on LinkedIn, right? So when you look at it, if you think about it, the jobs that were posted on LinkedIn and that I filled out, I was reacting to there, and I was not being proactive. But then when I went and got my library card and started going and getting the list of companies, I was being proactive. So I wanted to be more proactive in my approach, taking control of my job search. So as I move forward, I could land more opportunities.
All right, so time for some decisions. And the first decision you have to go through is, do I want to stay in the same industry where I'm at now, or where you came from? Some of you, I was talking to a lady earlier who unfortunately had to leave, but she's been out of the workforce for a few years. So now she's got to decide what she wants to do in getting back into the workforce. So that's a primary decision you have to make. Did I like my past career, oil and gas, or do you want to stay in it, or do you want to look for a new career? And some of these jobs that you may be considering, like project management, are kind of agnostic, but you first to identify whether you want to stay in the same industry or go to a different industry. That's the first decision you got to make. So after that, what kind of company you want to work for? Some of these companies, in a small company, then yes, there are disadvantages to that, but at the same time, in a small company, you can have more of a say. You're a bigger voice there, and you'll be more involved in the pulse of what's going on than you would be in a larger company. So you have to decide, you want small, medium, or large. And of course, with large companies come a lot of benefits with that too, but you're a smaller fish in a big ocean. And then do you want to stay here? And of course, we probably should update this slide to include remote. So do you want to stay in this area? For sure, because a lot of these jobs do require you to be there in person. Are you willing to relocate? Whatever, your kids are away at college and you're by yourself and you can live anywhere, that's fine. You will relocate, we can look there too. Or are you going to be strictly either a remote or a hybrid? So those are the kind of things that you have to consider as you search for your target companies.
Now, this tool will not teach you how to find a remote position. This tool will teach you about companies but they won't teach you the specifics about a remote job. So if you go out to LinkedIn, they may advertise that they have a remote position, but as far as when you go to LinkedIn, LinkedIn focuses in on industries and locations and information like that. It does not provide you with the information about remote. So as it is, you may have to use another resource to identify a company that's offering a remote opportunity for you.
All right, so there's other databases in this space beyond Reference Solutions. Data Axle obviously owns this now. There's a database called A to Z, and some libraries will only offer this, and we'll teach you later which libraries you can go to get Reference Solutions. But if your library only offers A to Z, it's a very, very similar product, and then you can just talk to the reference librarian at your particular library, and they'll teach you how to use that product. Then any of you who have been in the financial industry, have done any kind of financial background checks, are familiar with Dun & Bradstreet, who is now part of Hoover's, but that is strictly a financial database. That'll give you financial data on that company, and that's about it.
Most of your local libraries do not offer the D&B Hoovers, and D&B Hoovers is more financially focused, as Pete said, and it's a little more difficult to use. The nice thing is that in the state of Texas, the majority of libraries have the reference solutions available through their network. So how do I get access to reference solutions? And the thing that we learned initially was, okay, I need to get my library card. So how do I do that? If you live in the state of Texas, it's a matter of providing your driver's license, your voter registration, or some proof that you live in the state of Texas. And the really cool thing about it is you don't necessarily have to go to the library in order to get your library card. And the example I've got is I have 2 library cards. I live in Plano, and I have my Plano library card, but I also have North Richland Hills library card as well. North Richland Hills in Texas, they have free access to anybody who lives in the state of Texas. You can get your library card. Plano, well, if you don't live in Plano, they're going to charge you $50. If you lived in McKinney or Allen or Frisco and you went to Plano to try to get your library card, they charge you $50. I'm not up for paying money, so I would prefer to go someplace. I'm a little tighter with my cash, I think. And as it is, I found out that you can go to North Richland Hills and get your library card. I did it online. It took me all of 10 minutes. All I had to do was show proof that I lived in the state of Texas and fill out some information. And within 10 minutes, I had my library card for North Richland Hills. And the other neat thing about it was I was doing it from my house. So I have, for any of the access for this tool, you can do it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week from your house. All you have to do is have your library card and that library card number and know where to sign on. In order to gain access, I asked online, they said, do you have any questions? I said, absolutely. My first question is, where do I find Reference Solutions? And the librarian came back, oh, you mean Reference USA? Yes, that's it. Okay, and she gave me the link to connect to Reference Solutions, and by connecting to that, then I have access from my house anytime I wanted to go online and look at the tool. When you sign on, this is what the screen will look like. And you notice in the about middle of the sheet on the right-hand side, it says Plano Public Library. Well, if I had signed on with in North Richland Hills, they would have their little logo located in that location. One of the things I'll point out, I mentioned there's about 73 million companies listed in here. There are about 16, maybe 17 million companies that are verified, and another 43 or so that are not verified but are still viable companies. And so there's an awful lot of companies that have information there. And the file that we normally use is the U.S. Businesses file, which is in that top left-hand corner that we highlighted up there. And that is the one that has all of the information in it. There are also smaller databases if you want health care. If you want to know about doctors and dentists, there's a health care file that they've shrunk down or they made smaller for you to work with, if you so desire. And there's also a Canadian thing, if you'd like to understand what's going on up in Canada, there's a file for that. But the file that has all the information in it is in that top left-hand corner that we highlighted right there. And that's the one we start out with and we start working with. Please?
I think it's where you tap dance. There we go.
There we go. Okay, so if we're interested in opening up the files and getting into the tool, as we open the file, there's two choices you can have. You can have a particular company name that you can plug in, and this is where, okay, I just filled out a job application for this particular company out on LinkedIn, and I'd like to learn more about that particular company. So if I want to type in that name, I can do that in this location. I can do a quick search on that company. Or if I want to, there's additional filters, and if you notice additional filters and the advanced search. The advanced search that's up there is exactly the same as additional filters. So either one, you click on either one of those, and it will take you to a laundry list of filters that you can use. And we'll talk a little bit more about the advanced filtering in a few minutes. And at this point.
All right. So if you desire to stay within the same industry as your previous company, then hopefully which one is it, this one? All right, so you can come up to this screen as Mike was mentioning, and for this example, we're going to pretend we worked for IBM in the past, as Foster and I did, and you want to see if you can find an IBM location here in the general area. So we'll start by putting in IBM as our company search, and then as we move on, you'll be able to view the results. And now as you see from here, we have 283 results, and if you can probably see on that screen, hopefully, it's not just IBM as in big blue, it's any company with the letters IB and M. So as you can see, we need to narrow this down a little bit more in order to be able to work with it. So all these arrows are pointing to different locations where these particular companies are located. So they're all over the country. And again, you know, we're working with an individual in this example who wants to stay with IBM and lives here in this general area. So we're trying to narrow that down for this individual. So the first thing we do is let's start by narrowing it down to Texas, because that's where we are, that's where we want to stay. So now you can see our results are down, way down from a 283 or whatever it was before. So now we only have 24 results to work with. So now we can start narrowing it down further. But as you can see, not all the companies are IBM, you know, Big Blue, which is the one we're looking for. So we still have to continue to work on that. So, but there is the site that we used to work at before, the IBM office in Stemmons Freeway here locally in Dallas. So we found it, and whether Kathy Gross is still there or not, we found the location that we wanted. So we select that. And by the way, these arrows here, when you see an arrow like that, it means that if you see an up arrow, it means that there's a headquarters there that is above this. In other words, this branch here that we're looking at reports to a headquarters. If you see the arrow pointing down, it means that you found the headquarters, but there may be other branches in other parts of the city or the state or country. All right, so we clicked on that, and now we're getting information here on that particular location. All we did here was blow up that left-hand column so you can see it better. So you can see all these different things you can click on in order to get more information about that particular location for IBM. So you can see everything from location information, the job listings. And by the way, I'll point out the job listings you're seeing here are the ones being fed from Indeed and Indeed only. So to Mike's point earlier about we're not going to know whether they're remote or not, or hybrid or not, or anything like that, well, these are the job listings that Indeed's picked up for this particular company, being IBM. So if you're looking for positions within IBM, do not let this be their only source. You can still go out to the ZipRecruiters or Monsters and LinkedIn, obviously, any other job site that would list jobs like this, but do not rely just on this because it only lists a certain portion of the ones that Indeed picked up. So we also have the competitors report. Competitors report are all the same companies that are in that same space. Now, if any of you know anything about IBM, they got their hands in a million things, but these are some of the competitors based on what we know so far about what we're looking for. And then we also have the industry profile, which again, if you're looking for IBM, this will give you more detailed information as to what they're into in terms of, you know, consulting businesses and software and all that. So these are the competitors that come up. So what we were talking about earlier, if you're not sure about other companies that you may want to apply for, you're trying to build your target list, there's a great way to do it, is you have a list of competitors to IBM. Those are companies you can also look into and see what kind of jobs or positions they have open within here in the Dallas area. Now, the one thing about this database, the wonderful thing, I mean, it's just like any other database. You can download just about anything on it, except for this slide. For some reason, when you get to this page, you cannot download this information. So if you want this information, you'll have to make a screen print or, you know, the old-fashioned write it down way, because you won't be able to download off of this particular screen. So target opportunities. So now we know we want to narrow this down a little bit further. So how many of you are familiar with SIC codes or NAICS codes? If you're in the financial industry, you've seen these before. SIC codes, standard industry classification, we'll go into that in a minute. NAICS code, same thing. And write down the NAICS code. Those are the codes we'll need going forward in doing our search in the database. So, SIC, boy, these have been around for a long, long time. And my industry, I used them all the time. I used to know most of them by memory. So this is established back in 1930, and all it is talking about an industry classification, but it was very, very broad. So in 1997, we came up with NAICS, which is a North American industry classification system, and that narrowed it down even further. Because, for instance, SIC code would tell you it's a retail establishment. Okay, retail establishment can be selling anything. Well, NAICS allows you to narrow that down further. So anything from, you know, a cigar store to a Radio Shack to a restaurant to whatever. So I narrow it down much further, much closer to what you're looking for. So make sure that you search on both, but NAICS is going to give you a lot more detailed information. So we're back to our industry profile. We have our codes. So both codes are there. And now we know these are computer services, which is these days primarily what IBM does. And now we're going to go on and start searching using that code we wrote down, that 5415, the NAICS code. We're going to start doing a search based on that. So we have the business type. So we're looking for the keyword there. And if you could read that, I'll give you something after the class. All right. So we have the NAICS code that we keyed in here. And now what we want to do is narrow this down further, because obviously computer services, again, we live in the DFW area, so we want to make sure we stay within that area. So we're going to narrow this down further and have the city of Dallas. So now we know we're going to be in this area here using that particular code. So we're going to narrow down computer services in Dallas and see what we get. So that's just moving Once you select Dallas down there, it moves it over to the box on the right. Oh, and by the way, if you find Louisville on there, if you find Plano on there, any cities at all that you may want to be employed at or that are a good commute for you, feel free to add those as well. It probably won't be as narrow as what I'm talking about, but you'll be able to find other cities. So page down there and see, for instance, if it says Fort Worth and you're okay commuting there, that's fine, and make sure you select Fort Worth as well. So now we're going to review our results, and now we've narrowed this down, and you can see the city-state, and we got 21 results. Whoops, how do I go back? There we go. We got 21 results, and now these are all in the same area. These are all computer service companies, so we know we're in the same place. And now you start building out your list of companies. And by the way, I was going to say I was a geek. I still am a geek. I would take this information and put it on a spreadsheet, and then these will be my left-hand column, and then my other columns will be things that are important to me. Commute, whether they have the job that I'm looking for, do they stand for the things that I like, how's their profit over the last few years. Anything that's important to you, size of the company, all that stuff, I would build out columns. And then I also indicate whether I've already contacted them or not, and what I sent them and all that. So make sure you have everything.
Can you export that then?
Yes, this particular one you can export, and we'll cover that in a few minutes. Thank you for the question, sir. All right. So now we filtered this, and we're going to look at the top 2 companies here, and we're going to focus on Amdocs. It's a company we found via our search, and it seems interesting. And again, as Mike was saying earlier, we want to use this database as a reference to get all this information in terms of target companies out there. But trust but verify. So now you can go out to LinkedIn, you go out to their website, and do further research on these particular companies that you just found. So we're going to focus on Amdocs, and it's the second company on there. And now when we open up their slide, once you click on that link, you can see the information on Amdocs, where they are, information about their leadership, and it's also going to give you information about, again, their jobs. These are just the ones on Indeed. Note that, the smaller companies, especially if you're targeting smaller companies, will still use places like Monster or others like that that are very inexpensive, because LinkedIn, Indeed, ZipRecruiter, all those, Career Builder, they may require a lot more money a month or a year, and the smaller companies can't afford that.
It doesn't have any jobs listed in Indeed on this. Does that
Right.
mean they're not hiring?
Of course not. It could mean that, like I just said, it's part of, they've got their job listings elsewhere. And whether they can afford it or not, they're going to use probably Monster. LinkedIn is expensive. So, we teach at another session, South Lake Focus, to join all these different job searching engines, because you never know who's going to be posting where, because depending on the size of the company, that may be their budget or what they're used to posting in. So thank you, Mike. Yes, just because it says no jobs there doesn't mean there aren't any. So take it away, sir.
Thank you. So one of the things that seems kind of obvious, but we're very much focused on is, let's look at some of the best practices that we could take advantage of as we're looking for these target companies. And one of the things that we saw was, okay, you go out to the Dallas Business Journal and look for hot industries. And if you look at some of the articles that are written in the Dallas Business Journal or the Fort Worth Business Journal, it tells you what the hot industries are. For example, in the DFW area, they've got technology, financial services. They've also got defense. Raytheon's got a huge complex that's over there in Richardson. I mean, so there's some really big industries that are focused in the Dallas area, and in the Fort Worth area, like oil and gas is big, aerospace is big over in Fort Worth, and some manufacturing as well. So you can use other articles or other locations to help guide you as to the types of industries or types of companies that you may want to look for. In addition, they're asking right now for the top 100 companies in Dallas. I've seen it come across LinkedIn a bunch of times. And so why wouldn't I want to work at one of the top 100 places to work in the Dallas area or the Fort Worth area? Wherever I'm looking, why wouldn't I want to work at one of the top 100 places? Because the employees are happy. You know, things are going well, so why not take a look at those and use those as my initial filter and my initial list of companies and then begin the process of weeding through the companies and see if there's any opportunities or if I like the culture of those particular companies. So best practices there, we say take advantage of utilizing other resources to help guide you in your search process. And then, is it just me or what?
I think it's your, I don't know, it's your wrist or something. I don't know.
At that computer, because it's not this one. It's not this one, yeah. Good thought, though. Thank you. Okay.
You want me to try it?
Well, that would really be embarrassing. Pete? There we go. Okay, so as we get into our advanced filtering options, how many people have looked at Amazon website? Okay, and how many people have filtered things that they're buying on the Amazon website and said, okay, I want this size or this color or this, you know, I want shirts or I want pants or I want whatever it is. You've used the filtering process. This is exactly the same thing, okay? Except you're not buying a company. What you're doing right now is you're filtering the company, okay, and taking advantage of that. So there's a lot of filters that you can take advantage of, and if I can get the clicker to work, we're good. You know, obviously you can search by company name, and that was the initial one we did with IBM. In addition, you can do it by business type. Okay, so you can go in and select by the business type and get specifically into the details that you're looking for. And you can use, if you've got the SIC or NAICS code, you can use that. Or if you have a particular industry that you're in, for example, if I was looking in the insurance industry, I might type in insurance. Or if I was looking in healthcare, I might type in healthcare. So you can use keywords, and that will help you to sort through. In addition, any other major industry group that you want to take advantage of, you can type in that kind of information. And then geography. Now, the specific things about the geography, you can go for the metro area of Dallas-Fort Worth as an example. Or if you wanted to live in Atlanta or you wanted to live in Minneapolis or Chicago or wherever, you could type in the metro area and get results. Or you could go in and, in our case, if I wanted to use Frisco or I wanted to use Plano or McKinney or something like that, I could type in those specific cities. Or you also have the capability of going down to zip code, like Mark was saying earlier. He looked at 3 zip codes that the person that he was working with to help walk them through it. He picked 3 zip codes, and you have the ability to do that as well. You can also do it by neighborhood, but that's not very useful. Neighborhoods are more for marketing purposes and other things like that. Okay, and you could do it by business size. Now, I always thought of business size being number of employees and the revenue that the company has, and those are 2 key things. And you know, do I want to work at a small, medium, or large size company? My previous companies that I've worked for, I've worked at a couple of Fortune 500 companies, and as I begin to lose my hair, you know, Foster's laughing. He said, yeah. Can you identify with that? Is that? But, and, you know, as I begin to age, you know, some people aren't looking for somebody that is my senior age in their company. But smaller companies or medium-sized companies might like the idea of hiring somebody in that is experienced in doing a lot of different things. And so there's advantages to looking at small to medium-sized companies. Now, in Mark's example was completely the opposite, which really blew me away. I hadn't really thought about it like that, but he said that the young lady that he was working with said she was interested in large lawyer firms, right? So it all depends on what aspect you're looking for, and you need to make those decisions and come up with an idea of what, you know, do you want to work for a small, medium, or large size company? And you have the ability to choose based on either revenue or number of employees. Ownership is very important as well. The last company I worked for, the owners were from Sweden. So culturally, they were different than an American owner would be, or a publicly owned or publicly traded company. They operated differently, and their thought process was different. If you went to work for Toyota, the Toyota culture is different than the American culture is. Same thing with Samsung, a Korean company. So knowing where the ownership is will help you as well in doing some research in advance so you don't do the American faux pas. You know, and I have experienced some of those faux pas as you go through. When you go out to dinner with somebody from China, you definitely do, you want to use the chopsticks, but if at all possible, don't use a fork. I mean, they're big on that kind of thing, and also they don't like people that point. If you point, they don't like that at all. And so understanding the cultural differences of the ownership will assist you in avoiding the occasional slips that Americans make when they're dealing with an out-of-country owner. So that can be very helpful in the process. And as you put all those things together, you come up with a list of target companies. Now, we're going to go through an example here, and we'll do this pretty quick. The first example we're going to have, we're going to look for an IT position. Okay, it's a computer service position, and we're going to build an SIC code. And if you notice there in the top right-hand corner, it lists 15.6 million. If you go to that list now, it's been updated. I think it's more like 16.7 million. But you know, the list is constantly being updated and adjusted. So just recognize that it's over 15 million companies that are in the verified list of companies. Now, you have the ability also, if you want to do an unverified, you can add the unverified companies in there as well. Those are viable companies. It's just that they don't have as much information about them. So I chose to stick with the companies that had been verified by Reference Solutions. Now, when we go in and do our advanced search, the first thing we wanted to do was I wanted to live in the... My wife said, I'm not moving again. I am not moving again. That's it. We're not moving anymore. Okay. So I needed to find some place to work that was close in geography to where I lived. So I didn't have an hour-and-a-half drive back and forth to work every day. And so you want to go in and check on the geography. And the first step that you take, as soon as I get the buttons to work, there we go, is I'm going to select the metro area. And the metro area that we're going to choose is the Dallas-Fort Worth and in Texas. So we click on that, and it will then update the count. See in the top right-hand corner? We click on Update the Count, and it went from 15 million to 338,000. So there's 338,000 businesses in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And that's a ballpark number. But that's way too many to work with. So we need to narrow it down a little bit further. So let's keep going. Get me a new battery. Okay, and as we build our code, there's a list, and to make it easier to see, there it is, okay. To make it easier to see, there's a list of the various different industries, from agriculture to manufacturing to business services. There's an awful lot of different choices you have, and you need to make that decision as to which one it falls into your particular category. And as we're looking for computer services and looking for that, we need to narrow our choices down, and we need to make the selections that apply to that. And so before I do that, I want to show you there's plus signs just to the left of each one of those on the list. And we're going to explode the top one, which is agricultural services. And if you take a look, agriculture, forestry, and fishing, it has 01 to 09 choices, right? And you may fall into one of those areas, or you may find something that if your job is a generic position, if you're in computers, they may have a need for computers in one of these businesses that are agriculture, production, livestock, or agricultural services, or something like that. And that may be a niche that you want to get into. But you have to make that decision and select whatever you want to work with. Let's go back. We're going to do computer integrated systems design, and we're going to select from the major business group and select the services. Okay, so computer integrated systems design, we'll select the services, and I'm going to move over here so I can see it a little easier. There we go. The one thing we're doing right now is we're not selecting the primary only, because when you use primary only, it only gives you one choice and one number to choose from. If I choose a company like Exxon has about 10 or 15 different SIC and NAICS codes. So as I'm going through, I want to select one. I don't want to select a primary, because the primary is the only thing it does. Unless that's what you want. If you only want the one thing, you can do that. But as an example, Exxon has about 10 different choices, and if I wanted to work for Exxon in the computer systems design or integrated systems design, I could do that. But by opening it up and not using just the primary, I've focused on opening up my choices and giving me a lot more opportunity. Does that make sense? Okay, good. All right, so I'm leaving that unchecked, and so I'm not going to go with primary. And I updated my count, and I went from 338,000 down to about 150,000 in that ballpark. Okay, so now we want to build that filter. The first one that we chose was computer services, which was 73. And if you look under services, there's a list of services, and 73 fits the business services, which the computer integrated services piece fit into. And as we start to build it and I update my count, I'm now at 20,000 businesses that have that, or companies that have that. And I start working my way through. I go to the next one. I select computer integrated systems design. It's 7373. I'm building my SIC code. When I update the count, it's 616. I've almost got it down to a workable number, but it's still not quite there. I go down to the next one, and select from the drop-down menu, and I choose the computer integrated systems design. It ends up, when I update the count, to be 46. So that narrows it down and is a workable number where I want to look at that list, and then I want to download that list so I can then start going through and selecting, okay, I'm going to pick three of them or 4 of them to do my research on this week and next week. And as I find out a company doesn't fit my personality or something doesn't seem right, I'll go ahead and pull that one off the list, off to the side, and pull down another one of those off the list of 46. Make sense? Pretty easy? Okay, good. All right, so I'm going to throw this thing. Okay, so if I view the results, top right-hand corner, see the little star thing in the top right-hand corner? When I view the results, dun, 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 dun. Okay, time for a tap dance. I ain't doing it. You're not? All right.
Maybe you have to be more dead center when you click. It switched already, by the way.
Okay.
It's just delayed reaction.
Yep. Well, I also spun the battery. Okay, so this is the result that I got. You've never spun the battery? My battery's dying. I got to spin it. Okay, so if I want to download this list, there across the top there is how I can get it downloaded. And the thing I'm interested in doing is taking advantage of, boy, shoot me now. Do I need to spin it again? Thank you. Okay, so in looking at this list of opportunities or things I could select, the thing I'm interested in doing is downloading the information. So I click on the download button, and when I do that, John, could you push the button, please? Thank you. And if you push it one more time. All right, and one more time. Thank you. Okay, so this screen will come up, and I want to download this information, and I'm going to choose what I want to download. Now, they recommend comma delimited. How many people are used to working with data that's comma delimited versus, okay, we got 4 or 5 people. Excellent. I'm not a data analyst. I'm an Excel guy. I said, okay, I'm more used to using, and it's quicker for me to use Excel. I prefer to use Excel. If you want to use comma delimited, have at it. That's cool. And they say that most of the people want to use comma delimited. I think they're data people that are used to using a lot of data that use comma delimited. That's me. But I prefer to use Excel because it's pretty simple to use. You want to push the button one more time? Thank you. Okay. So then the other thing, so you have to choose what kind of format you want it in. If you want comma delimited, great. If you don't, if you want Excel, that's good as well. Okay, and it's up to you which you want to use. Then you come down. Could you go back one, please? Thank you. Okay, and you want to select the information that you're going to get. Do you want the summary? Do you want a detailed report? Or do you want to customize the response? And our recommendation is that you get the summary and not the detailed. If you ask for the detailed, you're going to get 17,000 rows of information. Okay, and a lot of those rows aren't filled in. There's a lot of blanks in that 17,000. So I would encourage you to take advantage and utilize the summary piece of it, because it gives you most of the information that you're going to need. Okay, and so that's what we encourage you to do. Now, if you would, did it? There we go. Okay, so. Thank you. Okay, so the thing that we encourage you to do, and the best practices that we saw to use or take advantage of using the company name if you've got a particular company that you're looking for. And then looking for geography. If you would, go ahead and click one more time. Oh, excuse me, business type. So select your business type, be it if you have the SIC code or NAICS code. Take advantage of that, or use the keyword or major industry group. I was in the air conditioning industry, which was HVAC, and so I could just type in HVAC, and it would provide me with the SIC or NAICS codes that I needed to get my list. Okay. In addition, then we go by geography. Okay, and you'll notice down at the bottom it's got by county, it's got by street address, it's got by neighborhood. Thank you. And those really aren't all that useful unless you're trying to get a mailing list. And that's what businesses will use this for. And in our case, we don't necessarily want to do it that way. We want to focus on more so like larger cities or metropolitan areas. So you get an idea of what different businesses or companies are available that you're interested in. In addition, you've got, you can select by size of company, the number of employees or the dollar amount, and you can select private or public company or foreign parent, or if it's a headquarters or a branch. You may prefer to work at the headquarters, or you may prefer to work at a branch. It's up to you. And so those are all decisions that you have to make, and as you're selecting, you can take advantage of that. And the one thing I did leave off, anybody interested in nonprofit? Okay, if you're interested in nonprofit and you want to look for a list of nonprofits, the way to do that is to go into the keyword or the major industry group right there and type in nonprofit. Okay? For some reason, instead of putting nonprofit in with the ownership, they put it over in that other group in the key industry words. So if you're interested in nonprofits or happen to be want to look up a nonprofit, you can find those in the major industry group or the key word. Yes.
So there are companies that are technically nonprofit, like Baylor Scott & White is a non-investor, but would it come up under healthcare or would it come up under nonprofit?
Okay, so the question was Baylor Scott & White, which is a medical group. Would that fall under the medical group or would that fall under the nonprofit? And you may find it in both. Okay, but what I would do if I was looking for a medical like that, I would go ahead and look for medical first, and then nonprofit, because I'm guessing they're probably more focused on the medical piece of it, and more information will be available in that. Okay, good question. All right, so we've talked about how to find these target companies. Now, what kind of information can we get from them? And as we open up the files, one of the things you're going to see is we have the ability to identify key people at the companies and identify some key people at the companies. In addition, we can look at their marketing spend. If they're a public company, that you might be able to see their 10K. And there's a lot of information as you're doing your research There's a lot of information in their annual report, in their 10K, and they talk about their strategies. And if you're looking for questions to ask people during your interview, the 10K has a section in there about business strategy. Hey, I noticed so-and-so is your competitor, and that you're building this or you're doing this to compete against this company. How is that strategy working for you? Wow, what a question. You know, where'd you read all that? Well, I went to your 10K and I read it, or I read it in your annual report. So I mean, there's a lot of really good information that's out there that you can really start digging into and learning about these companies, and make you a very powerful interviewer instead of being an interviewee. And you can turn it into a conversation, and that's a whole lot better than being interrogated. I'd much rather be talking with somebody rather than somebody going, "What'd you do on this day? And what was your success rate about doing that?" Well, okay, yeah, we can talk about that, but is that important to you in this new role, that I be able to do that? And by asking a question, I've turned it around, and now we're starting into a conversation, and that's important. Okay, John, if you would, could I get you to click there you go, thank you. Okay, when we open up, we're gonna go through a live demonstration or a semi-live demonstration of what the tool looks like when we open it up. Okay, so the first thing that happens, is when you open up the reference solutions, you get all these different choices. The one, again, that we always use is the one in the top right-hand or top left-hand corner, which is U.S. businesses. But there's a file for Canadian businesses. There's a file for healthcare. There's a file for new businesses. And some people are looking for startup companies. There's a couple people I know that want to operate in startup companies. And so new businesses would be a great list for them to start looking, you know, to begin that looking process with the startup companies. So, and I'll point out again, the list is verified or updated. They contact, they have a call center, and the call center, 8 hours a day or 10 hours a day or whatever, they call nonstop all these businesses to verify their information. And so they reach out to verify this information, and then all the information they get from that week gets updated into the system the following week. So there are updates that are happening, but it may only happen once a week. So, once a year. It may only happen once a year. So the information that you see, trust but verify. Okay, so you'll see a lot of information, and you can use other references to cross-check the data, especially the people that are listed in it. And we'll show you that in a second. Okay, so we're going to look at the new business, or the U.S. businesses. I guess I should be pointing this way. And we have the ability, we're going to pull up Alchemy. A couple years ago, a guy from Alchemy came in and said, "We're hiring 200 new people." I was like, "Yeah, right." But he said, "Yeah, no, seriously, we're going to hire 200 people." So I said, "Okay, can we look at your company?" "Sure." So we typed in Alchemy, and it was in Plano. He said, "We're building in Plano. We're going to have Alchemy building." And you may recognize the Alchemy building as you're driving on 121. There's a big sign that says Alchemy on it. They've built their building, and they have a lot of square footage. We'll show you a little bit about that in a second. So we go in and we hit View Results. And as we do that, there's Alchemy. It came up. And it's Alchemy Technology. And the person that they have as a contact is Patrick Kramer. And then we open up the file and take a look at their file. And you notice on the left-hand side is the quick links. Every single one of the links on the left is a blue line. So there's location, there's job listings, there's industry profile, business profile, etc. Okay, so each one of those blue lines, there's data that can expand out if you want to learn more about that piece of the company. Okay, and at Alchemy, here's the location, the address. Here's some job listings that they had. Now, if you happen to click on this, it will take you away from the database. So if you happen to click on one of the jobs on Indeed, it brings you over to Indeed for that particular job, and you'll have to start again to get back into Reference Solutions. But that's okay. If you see a job that fits, it's worth it. Okay? Then some data about the industry profile. And you probably want to copy these numbers down because you'll want to find out some of their other competitors that are out there. And as I copy these numbers down, I then have information about it. I can see, okay, here's where it's located. And then, this is what we saw when we first started. Okay, the guy says, we're going to hire 200 people. I go, wait a minute. You got 4 people right now. And people started studying that screen, and they said, well, wait a minute. Okay, so they got 4 people, and look at the square footage that's up there. Square footage down, a few slots down, is 10,000 to almost 20,000. So 4 people get 20,000 square feet. That's a big office. I like that. So, that's big as a lot of big houses, right? So everybody gets about a big house. Maybe, okay, this is my office right here. This would be my office. But, you know, you get an idea of how many people are there. But that's kind of cool. And then it gives you a little bit of information about the company. And then we go a little further down as we start looking. Okay, oh, and note, that's a private business, or it was a private business. They have since gone on the stock market. They're now part of NASDAQ, but they originally were a private company. So as you're looking at companies, if it's a private company, you're not going to get as much information as you are if it's a public company. Public companies have to put a lot of financial information out, make it available to their investors. A private company, if I'm an owner, I don't have to share any of my information with you. So at the time, it was a private company. It is now a public company. I looked at it this morning, as a matter of fact, as we were looking at it. And there are, as far as number of employees, there's up to 250 employees now working at that location in Plano. And it is it's publicly listed on NASDAQ. So they've gone through with their information. Okay, key people. The information you've got here, as you're looking, here are key. The 2 columns on the left are the ones you want to look at. And that's the key, the important thing. Have no idea why they want to put ethnicity in this file. I've got no idea why they do that. But it's some information they've got, but don't ask me what that's about. But, okay, so if I want to reach out to somebody, why not reach out to the CEO and learn more? Hey, do you have a few minutes? Let's go get a cup of coffee and talk about your company. But do your research before you go sit down with the CEO. And it's an interesting approach to getting your next job opportunity. Okay, so you've got the owner, the vice president, you've got the CIO, sales executives, legal, IT, and you may have HR in there as well. So look at those people and then cross-reference them on LinkedIn to make sure that they're still working at that company. Because remember, this list may only be updated once a year. Okay? Other information about the company and things that they're doing. They didn't have a lot in contract labor. They may have a whole lot more now. And so that may be a contract opportunity for you as well. their sales volume information, employee size, and business history, and then the competition. So there's a list of their competition, and you can take a look and see if there's potentially other companies that you would want to, that you might want to reach out to. Questions on that? Yes.
Does it show somewhere in here the sample naming addresses for email to those like individuals?
Okay, the question was, does it show the list of people that are listed here, does it have their emails or phone numbers there? And it does not show it. The only information you saw is what was listed there. So if you go to their LinkedIn site, you may be able to get it there. Or you may be able to get the business switchboard and said, I'd like to talk to so-and-so, and dial to the switchboard, the main operator, and see if they won't transfer you up to that.
Oftentimes, you can also go into the actual company website, and if you go to the consumer relations or the public page, it'll have the email format. So if you know the name of the person, Mike Ray, and you see that everything is, first initial, last name at alchemy.com, you'll be able to figure out there's probably M. Ray at alchemy.com, be able to figure it out that way.
If you'll click on that, we'll go back to there we go. Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right. Go ahead, Pete.
Let me put this down so we get any feedback. So, again, it's free through your local library. It's fairly easy to use, especially once you look up any existing company or any future company you want to work for, and then get the codes we've been talking about. It's definitely your best practice. It gets you out of that hole where you're thinking, how am I going to come up with these companies? Because I guarantee you, companies are going to come up in that database that you've never even heard of. And I didn't know they were in that space, or I didn't even know they were in DFW, or even existed. And that's a great place to start. Download that list, and then start doing your research as to which ones fit the profile, what you're looking for in terms of size. And size is either number of people or revenue, whatever you measure size by, and you'll be able to have that list handy. And as Mike was saying earlier, once you work through that first 2 or 3, if they don't work out, you just keep on going. But this is one-time research probably. Once you get those 50 or so companies, you just keep working yourself down that list.
So we have a call to action. You didn't just get the opportunity to come to our session today. Our call to action is we want you to take advantage of this tool. And because of that, we would like you to get your library card. If you don't have a library card, we want you to get one. Okay? It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. And so you now have access to reference solutions. And if your library doesn't have reference solutions, North Richland Hills does, and it only takes about 10 minutes to fill out the information and take advantage of that. For those of you out of state, I've looked at Atlanta and Minnesota and Charlotte, North Carolina, and a few other places. There are a lot of libraries that have access to reference solutions. So it is available to you online as well. So take advantage of that. It's well worth it. The other thing that we say is we want you to sign on to Reference Solutions. Try it out. Give it a try. Okay? And next week, well, not next week, but 2 weeks from today, we want you to come back with 2 target companies. And we want you to share those target companies with us here. For those of you online, we want you to type it in the comments section. Say, I found these 2 companies using Reference Solutions, and so that we know that you've taken advantage of and recognize the benefit that this tool can provide to you in your job search efforts. Okay. Are there any questions?
Yeah, Mike.
Yes.
I just want to emphasize for everybody, in order to get there free, go through a local library. And in most places across the country, if your local library doesn't have it, You can get a card at a nearby library. A lot of these libraries have reciprocal agreements between the communities, where if I live in the Colony, Texas, I can get a Frisco card at no charge for the Frisco Library, and then I can log on to the Frisco Library website and get into Reference Solutions. So it may take a little, investigation and a little effort to get there, because if you try and get on Reference Solutions by yourself, it is a fee-based database. So I want everybody to understand that.
Yeah, you're correct, John. If you were to try to take advantage of this, what they normally charge is between $10,000 and $20,000 a year. And so obviously we're unemployed, we're looking for our next opportunity. We don't want to spend any money. So anything that you can do to take advantage of that, it would be great. To John's point, rather than going right next door, if you live in the state of Texas, the simplest thing is North Richland Hills, Texas. Okay? They accept anywhere in the state of Texas as long as you have proof that your driver's license, voter registration, or a utility bill. They have access to the database and they'll accept you. They accepted me. Well, good gracious.
Mike,
Yes,
we've
Bill.
got a couple of questions online.
Okay.
First is, what is the difference? I'm sorry, how often does Reference USA refresh their info on their company?
Okay, the now Reference Solutions, but they update their information. They do it weekly for the information where they've contacted the businesses. So it is likely that about once a year the information is updated. So example, if January 1st, 2022, my information was updated and then suddenly in June we had a big shakeup, or we did some restructuring and things happened, the people on that list may not be the same people. And that's one thing, but in general, they update it about once a year. You can count on that information to be updated per company, okay? And that's why they call it the verified list. The unverified, they couldn't get a hold of anybody, or they wouldn't answer, the person wouldn't answer the phone, or whatever the deal was. So that they go into then the unverified, but the majority of the 17 million or so get updated once a year.
Okay, and the other question refers to the alchemy sample you were using. Is there a way to determine which employees work at a specific location? So in this reference, which 4 individuals are at the Plano office?
What I would do is if I had a name of a particular person working for Alchemy, as the example, I would then go to LinkedIn and type in their name and comma Alchemy, or look at their name and see if they didn't have a title that was related to the company Alchemy. So that would be the approach I would take. Other questions? I think, Mark, you had your hand up.
Yeah, so, actually more comments. The first is, even though it's free, if you pay property taxes, which even if you rent, if you pay property taxes. Got me? All right. So it's free, but if you pay property taxes, that means you've already paid for it. So you might as well use it, right? Because you're already paying for it. So that's number one. Number two is, this is a much more detailed report. And I don't know if you guys use or have looked at Career One Stop, but careeronestop.org is also a data Excel engine, and it's put on by the DOL. It actually is kind of like a complementary service or site to Reference Solutions, which is you can look up and drill into the companies through Reference Solutions, but careeronestop.org will also let you drill in and look at those companies and what positions they have open. And they pull their data. They actually have it aggregated by like the search engine. So Indeed, Career Builder, there's 3 or 4, I think. And so they will aggregate that, and then you can actually look at the job postings that they have, similar to what you had pulled up, but you could search by, you know, again, region or by company name. If you had a target list that you've developed by Reference Solutions, then you can take that target list and plug those company names in and pull up all the jobs that they have listed across all of the platform, or most of the platforms. So career-onestop.org is another complementary solution.
Career One Stop, ONE.org. Okay, guys, if you cross-reference, okay, John, I'm hurrying up. If you cross-reference on LinkedIn and you do not find the information that you're looking for that person, here's a thought. Now, this is very detailed, but we have this new verb called Google. And you guys can put in Mike Ray Linux. I'm just using Mike as an example, and it likely will pull up of your search findings. It likely will pull up the LinkedIn, but you can go beyond that because a lot of people put publications and things out about what they do, and it can get kind of into the weeds and give you guys a little bit better idea of what it is they do at that company. You'll be surprised what's on Google. In fact, most job seekers should Google themselves and see what's on the World Wide Web. So if I'm looking for Janice Booker, she might have done something dastardly in Germany and it'll show up. Just kidding. Double check yourself, everybody.
One last question. Do you target the company or the recruiter or the department head actively recruiting for position or positions?
I would say if you can get down the weeds and find out who the recruiter is within that company, that would be your gold nugget. You're not always going to have access to that information. So once you find out the job is open, obviously try to apply for it. Then do what Foster and I and Mike and everybody always says is network your way in. Find somebody who is in that company that can help us get our resume in front of the right person via informational interview or however else we can do it. But yes, if you have access to that recruiter who posted that position, then by all means reach out to them directly.
Yeah, Bill, the thing I see, I fully agree with this, with what Pete said. The other piece that goes along with that, depending upon the size of the company, they may hire outside recruiters, so those recruiters aren't tied specifically to that company. They're a separate company of recruiting focused on a certain area. So one of the tools that I use as I'm looking for recruiters, if I'm looking for recruiters in a specific area, if I was in IT or HR or something like that, I would type in recruiter, comma, HR, comma, whatever it is, and be specific out on LinkedIn, and that will then bring up a list of recruiters that are in that particular space, and that can assist you in identifying the specific recruiters. And by the way, I reach out to any recruiter that comes popping up, especially the ones at the top of the list, because they're really active. But I reach out and say, you know, how may I assist you? I'm in this particular field, et cetera, and take that approach. But if there is recruiter or HR on the list for Reference Solutions that pops up, then at that point you want to, I would reach out to them specifically, you know, if you're looking at that company and say, I'd like to learn more about your company, and could we sit down and have a cup of coffee and talk more about the company. That answer your question, Bill? Okay, John, it's all yours. Thank you, sir. We appreciate your time. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. We ran a little bit over, but we appreciate it. It's great information, a wonderful resource. And again, If we ran a little long, if you want to review this presentation, it will be posted on YouTube on the Stonebriar Events channel. Usually takes about 24 hours before it pops up. So thank you everybody for your participation, your attention, and grab a bottle of water on the way out because it's hotter than Hades out there. And stay hydrated, folks. Stay hydrated. That's the most important thing. And we'll see you on July 5th. Have a great July 4th weekend. God bless. Thank you.